Best 1964 to 1976. Muscle car under $20,000. 1964 to 1976. Pontiac Firebird. The Pontiac Firebird was introduced in 1967 as a competitor to the Chevrolet Camaro. With its sleek, aggressive styling and performance-oriented design, the Firebird quickly gained popularity among muscle car enthusiasts. Pontiac produced the Firebird in various configurations during the 1964 to 1976 range, giving buyers a wide selection of engine options, trim levels, and performance packages. The early Firebirds, 1967 to 1969, were built on the same platform as the Camaro and shared many of the same components, but Pontiac distinguished itself with unique styling cues, including a more pronounced grille and quad headlights. The Firebird also featured a wider range of engine options, starting with the 230 cubic inch inline-six engine and moving all the way up to the 400 cubic inch V8 in the Firebird 400, which produced up to 335 horsepower in 1969. In the early 70s, the Firebird saw design changes, including a more rounded body shape. The addition of the Trans Am package in 1969 further elevated the Firebird's performance profile. The Trans Am featured special racing-inspired elements like a functional hood scoop, wider tires, and a more powerful engine, such as the 455 cubic inch V8. This made the Firebird one of the most desirable muscle cars of the era. Throughout the 1970s, the Firebird continued to evolve. The second-generation Firebirds, which debuted in 1970, had a sleeker, more refined look, with a longer hood and more aerodynamic lines. These cars were available with various performance options, including the 455 HOV8 engine, capable of producing up to 335 horsepower. Despite the growing influence of stricter emission regulations, Pontiac managed to maintain the Firebird's sporty character with its performance packages and bold styling. The Firebird, in its various iterations, has a loyal following due to its distinctive style, performance pedigree, and the iconic status it achieved during the muscle car era. Today, early Firebirds are prized by collectors, and their prices have remained reasonable, especially for models in good condition or those that need some restoration work. If you can find a 1967 to 1976 Firebird for under $20,000, it's a fantastic deal for a car with such rich history and potential. 1964 to 1976 Chevrolet Camaro. Introduced in 1966 as Chevrolet's answer to the Ford Mustang, the Camaro quickly became one of the most iconic muscle cars of the 1960s and 1970s. The first-generation Camaro, 1967 to 1969, featured bold styling with aggressive lines, wide wheel arches, and a long hood that complemented the car's performance features. Camaro enthusiasts were drawn to its powerful engine options, starting with a base 230 cubic inch inline-six and reaching all the way up to the mighty 396 cubic inch V8 engine, which produced up to 375 horsepower. Chevrolet capitalized on the Camaro's performance image by introducing high-performance versions like the Z/28 and SS models. The Z/28 was built for road racing and featured a high-revving 302 cubic inch V8 that could produce up to 290 horsepower. The SS models were more focused on straight-line performance, and the SS 350 and SS 396 were equipped with larger engines, offering thrilling acceleration and top-end speed. The Camaro quickly became a favorite in both street racing and organized motorsports. The second-generation Camaro, produced from 1970 to 1981, was a departure from the first generation's aggressive, boxy styling. The new design was more refined, with a smoother front end and a more aerodynamic body. Despite its more refined appearance, the performance remained intact. The Camaro was available with engines ranging from the small block 350 cubic inch V8 to the larger 454 cubic inch V8. The Z/28 package returned with the 350 V8, producing a respectable 330 horsepower. Throughout the 1970s, muscle car performance started to decline due to stricter emission laws and insurance regulations. However, the Camaro still offered high-performance versions, including the Rally Sport and the Z/28. By the mid-1970s, the SS badge had been discontinued, but the Camaro retained its place as a true American muscle car. Today, classic Camaros from both generations are highly collectible and sought after by car enthusiasts. The first-generation models, particularly the 1967 to 1969 Camaros, have become iconic, and well-maintained cars or project vehicles are often available for under $20,000. The second-generation Camaros are slightly more affordable, but still offer significant performance potential and classic American muscle car styling. 1964 to 1976 Chevrolet Nova. The Chevrolet Nova, originally introduced in 1962, was a compact car that transformed into a bona fide muscle car by the mid-1960s. It was simple, affordable, and offered a wide variety of engine options, which made it popular with car enthusiasts looking for a practical yet potent vehicle. The early 1960s Nova was available with a modest inline-six engine, but by 1966, Chevrolet introduced more powerful V8 engines, turning the Nova into a true muscle car contender. The 1966 Nova SS Supersport featured a 283 cubic inch V8, which produced up to 220 horsepower. This made the Nova SS one of the most affordable muscle cars on the market. For 1967, the SS package was further refined, with the introduction of a 327 cubic inch V8 engine that produced 275 horsepower. The 1968 to 1972 Nova models continued to build on the car's performance reputation. The body style was changed slightly, offering a more modern appearance, and engine choices were expanded to include the potent 396 cubic inch V8. The Nova 396 produced a robust 350 horsepower, which made it one of the fastest cars in its class. By the mid-1970s, the Nova began to shift its focus more toward economy and practicality due to changing market demands and tightening emission standards. The 1973 to 1976 models offered fewer high-performance options, with smaller engine offerings and a more subdued style. However, the Nova still had a loyal following of enthusiasts, many of whom enjoyed building and modifying the car for performance. Today, the Chevrolet Nova is a favorite among classic car collectors and muscle car enthusiasts. Early models, especially those with V8 engines and the SS package, are highly desirable and often available for under $20,000. They offer great performance potential and a solid foundation for restoration or modification projects. 1964 to 1976 Dodge Dart. The Dodge Dart was one of the more underrated muscle cars of the 1960s and 1970s. Originally introduced as a compact car, the Dart evolved into a performance-oriented vehicle by the mid-1960s. In 1964, the Dart featured a simple, utilitarian design, but as it progressed, it became available with larger, more powerful engines. The 1967 to 1969 Dart GT and GTS models marked the beginning of the Dart's performance-oriented shift. The Dart GTS was equipped with a 273 cubic inch V8 that produced 235 horsepower, which made it competitive with other muscle cars of the era. By 1968, Dodge introduced the 340 cubic inch V8 in the Dart GTS, which produced 275 horsepower, further solidifying the Dart as a legitimate muscle car. In the early 1970s, the Dart continued to evolve, with the 1970 to 1976 models benefiting from the wider availability of high-performance engines. The 360 cubic inch V8 was introduced, producing up to 245 horsepower, which gave the Dart even more straight-line speed. The Dodge Dart Swinger and Dart Demon were popular models that featured sporty styling and excellent performance potential. While the muscle car era began to wane in the mid-1970s due to emission restrictions, the Dart still offered potent engine options for performance enthusiasts. The Dart was also known for its lightweight construction, which made it a favorite among drag racers and hot rodders looking for an affordable platform to modify. Today, the Dart is one of the more affordable muscle cars on the market. Well-maintained models from the 1967 to 1976 era can be found for under $20,000, and they offer solid performance with plenty of potential for further modifications. The Dart's unique styling and performance capabilities make it a great choice for muscle car collectors on a budget. 1964 to 1976 Plymouth GTX. The Plymouth GTX, introduced in 1967, was Plymouth's answer to the growing demand for muscle cars. Based on the Plymouth Belvedere, the GTX was a high-performance version that was designed to deliver both style and speed. It was marketed as the gentleman's muscle car, combining luxury features with raw performance. The 1967 to 1968 GTX models were equipped with a 440 cubic inch V8, which produced 375 horsepower, making it one of the most powerful muscle cars of the time. The GTX featured a luxurious interior, with bucket seats, wood trim, and premium options, which gave it a more refined feel compared to some of its more bare-bones competitors. In 1969, the GTX was redesigned with more aggressive styling, including a longer front end and a flatter roofline. The 440 V8 remained the standard engine, and the 426 HEMI V8 was also available as an option for those seeking even more power. The 426 Hemi was capable of producing 425 horsepower, making the GTX a formidable force on both the street and the drag strip. As the 1970s rolled in, the GTX saw its performance options start to decline due to stricter emission regulations. However, the 1970 to 1971 models still offered strong performance with their 440 of-8 engines. By the mid-1970s, the GTX badge was retired as Plymouth shifted toward more compact and economical vehicles. Today, the Plymouth GTX remains a rare and highly collectible muscle car. Models from 1967 to 1971, especially those with the 440 or HEMI engines, are highly sought after. While prices for well-maintained GTXs can exceed $20,000, project cars or models in need of restoration can still be found at affordable prices, making the GTX a great choice for muscle car enthusiasts looking for a powerful, luxurious ride.